hope to the chaos. And today we've got Justin Goldston PhD as our guest. Excited to have him on. Thank you for being here, Justin. So Justin is a certified supply chain professional and is a leading expert on blockchain technology and its inclusion in business enterprises. He's spoken around the globe as an expert in supply chain management and actually just participated in a panel and as a keynote speaker for the SAP ICS, which is the professional body for supply chain management, in South Africa early this morning. And he'll be speaking again this afternoon on eliminating waste in supply chain for Georgetown University. Wow, Justin, thank you for taking time in your incredibly busy day to be here with us as a guest.
Thank you for having me.
So let's get right into it. What is your approach to personally waking up with a go win the day attitude?
I would say my approach is to wake up and say, how can I serve? How can I serve others? And we talk in business about reaching an inflection point, but I reached an inflection point personally, where once I had my daughter, she's 6 months now. It's all comes down to, how do I want to leave a legacy? How do I want to leave a legacy that my daughter is proud of? And at the keynote that I delivered yesterday, I talked about how Thomas Jefferson has on his tombstone where he was the author of the Bill of Rights. He was the author of the Declaration of Independence, and he was also the father of the University of Virginia. One thing that was not included was that he was the president of the United States twice. And I think that his thinking was that I want to be remembered for my legacy, and I do not want to be remembered for my job. That job being the president of the United States. So again, it's all about leaving a legacy. And I say that if the Rock's daughter isn't impressed by the Rock's job of being Maui on Moana, we got some shoes to fill, But I would say that the legacy that Dwayne Johnson, the Rock, leaves behind, I think that she will be very proud of that. And I think that's more impactful than him just being probably the most successful man in show business. So that's one thing. That's what makes me win the day. If I'm making an impact, if I'm leaving a legacy that my daughter will be proud of.
Oh, I love that. That's great encouragement, great advice. So you have been highly successful, Justin, at achieving your dream of being a professor at the Penn State University.
Penn State.
I got my shirt on too, representing today. So give us a little insight on how you accomplished that.
So the biggest thing for me was to have that goal, and you set the goal. And I would say that from a personal perspective, I've had people
You muted on us, I think. Good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. So going back to the goal that I met at Penn State. Penn State was always my dream job, and I've set that goal. And I would say that just how you are strategic from a business perspective, you have to be strategic from a personal goal perspective as well. I would say that my approach, my plan is different in that people have told me that you ain't most of your career, and it's my goal to kind of prove the haters wrong. I did spend a number of years trying to please everyone, trying to appease everyone, but I think that it's all about do what's right for you. Do what you want to and to achieve your goals. Do what's going to be right for your family. And I think that once you reflect back, on your life, I think that you'll put a bigger smile on your face.
Well, that's great advice. And we are, by the way.
Penn State.
I hope that you've got enough coffee in you today to be this excited, because I know you've woken up bright and early this morning. So
I'm about 2 Red Bulls down.
All right, good.
It's 11 o'clock my time.
I know it. Well, what's a story you can share on how you have had to live out winning the day?
Say that one more time.
So a story that you can share on when you've had to personally live out winning the day.
I think that I'm living out winning the day today. I was up at 4:30. I delivered a keynote at a conference at a conference in South Africa. I had a discussion with the Penn State University, with the Sustainability Institute, where we're developing a plan on how we're going to address areas of sustainability, both in a variety of different industries, how we're going to address environmental justice and things like that. After this discussion, I have another panel discussion on sustainability with Georgetown University, where we're going to talk about circular supply chains. We're going to talk about cradle to cradle. We're going to talk about how to remove waste throughout organization supply chains. So with me, I mean, my main focus is how we're going to make a positive impact on the world. And I'm spreading the word in terms of sustainability. And that's my way of winning today, because I think that it goes back to serving. And I'm not hitting a billion served, but I'm hitting the hundreds today. I'm hitting the hundreds on a daily basis. I might be hitting the dozens, but today I'm hitting the hundreds. So I'm winning today.
Good for you. I love it. I love it. Well, I know this is off topic a little bit, but can you tell me how COVID has really impacted the supply chain and kind of what you've had to deal with personally through all of that?
So COVID has, fortunately and unfortunately, raised the awareness of the supply chain practice. You couldn't turn on the television in March without hearing the word supply chain. So it has raised the awareness of the practice. I would say that supply chain management is no longer seen as an expense. It's seen as a competitive advantage. In March, it was seen as survival. And I also say that Amazon is my opinion. In my opinion, Amazon saved the world in March and April, and they did it through supply chain management and logistics. One thing I always explain to people, I say Amazon used to sell books. Now they pretty much supply the world with supply the United States, I would say, with goods, at the beginning of this pandemic. So the pandemic has raised the awareness of the supply chain practice, but I think that, and one thing is, we have to find a silver lining in all this, and there have been some amazing things that have come out of this pandemic. There's a lot of connections and a lot of collaborations. Me and you met because of the pandemic, in my opinion, probably because we would have been, if it wasn't for the pandemic, we would not have we've been so busy, we would not have crossed paths, and we would not have reached out on LinkedIn. So
that's true.
I think that that's going to be a positive impact of the pandemic, of all the connections we've made, during these months.
Well, I love, Justin, that you're bringing hope through a really challenging time. That's really what we need right now. It's chaotic, and we need some hope. And I love that you're bringing that in all that you're doing, and certainly in what you're doing today here in this interview. So thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've watched you from afar now, and I appreciate your overall attitude about things. I mean, we just talked about it. So I was particularly impressed when you had to deal with leaving an industry you were comfortable with and going into higher education. What helped you be successful in working through that?
First and foremost, I think it's the support of your family. My wife believed in me. My wife seen me packing up on Sundays, going to the airport, coming in on Fridays, washing clothes, mowing the lawn, and doing it all over again. Right. So And once I took that leap, once I took that risk, because it was a risk. I was going in. I mean, I taught in the adjunct roles for a number of years before I went into higher education full time. But you were going into an area of the unknown, but you just have to do it. You just have to do it. And she said, I would say about 6 months in, she was like, "You're different." I was like, "I'm not stressed. I'm doing what I love. I get paid for what I love. And when people when people say, "What do you do for a living?" It seems like all you do is work. I say research is my hobby. Research is my hobby. So and through that research, I'm making a positive impact because I'm finding out, I'm uncovering ways to make a positive impact on the world. So I think that I'm living a dream right now. I'm living a dream.
Well, what advice could you give somebody that maybe is on the fence, that's in that same scenario that you were at, and how do they get to the point where you're at now?
Make the transition. Make the transition. I think that, like I said, and we've heard time and time again where individuals say, I wish I would have. I wish I would have done this. And before I did my TED talk, people were saying that, oh, I've always wanted to do a TED talk. I just did it. I did 5 of them. And like I said, I always said, oh, it's been my dream to go to Penn State. I just went for it. So you have to be persistent in what your goals are, but you have to be strategic as well. You have to be strategic in these goals, and it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen overnight. And as a business owner, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a lot of hard work. But once you get it, you feel like you're winning the day every single day, because you know that you're going to be serving. You're going to be serving your community, and you're making a positive impact on people that are directly impacted, your direct customers, and also indirectly as well. And that's how you have to see, how many people am I indirectly impacting? That's my mindset. So if I can hit those 100 served today,
absolutely, that's a win the day.
I'm probably getting a couple dozen. A couple dozen indirectly. So
wonderful. I love it. Well, I learning through the process as I've learned your story and got to study more about you, what I didn't recognize is the connection that the University of Arkansas and the Penn State University have in common with regards to supply chain management. So that was a unique thing that I learned through the process, and very, very intriguing.
Yes, Arkansas has an amazing program.
Yeah. And for our local Little Rock listeners, go Hogs. All right. So last question, Justin. How do you personally unwind after winning the day?
So I've touched on this briefly in the last question. I would say, so people say they Netflix and chill. I I YouTube and chill. So what I mean by that is that I'll create a playlist of topics that I'm researching at the given point in time, and I'll just run YouTube on Apple TV. And I'll because you'll find all kinds of interesting things. YouTube has a plethora of now you can get a PhD in YouTube if you want to. You can find anything you want to on YouTube, but I would say YouTube. My YouTube and chill is my way of unwinding.
I love it. I love it. Well, I love your passion for education. I also noticed that you had studied at Cornell. Our guest last week was studying at Cornell as well. So just a long resume of incredible things that you've accomplished, Justin. I look forward to continue watching you impact those dozens and hundreds and thousands and millions of people. So keep doing what you're doing. Thank you for being a part of this, and go win the day every day.
All right, let's go win it.
Let's go.
We are.